members and distinguished guests. Happy New Year, everyone. I am Yoka, Secretary General of ABGA, and I'm very honored to be here to host our kickoff ceremony today. The past year was particular. The epidemic has not ended as people expected. However, the blockchain has completely moved into the public eye in 2021 and ushered in a big bull market that made histories. The hottest track, GameFi, NFT, and Metaverse are flying up to the sky in the market. The game mode of play to earn, the expensive NFT avatars, and the Metaverse, the giant entered to the market, has opened up the public's attention and imagination and lead to the skyrocket market value of these tracks and countless new opportunities. ABGA's founding members keenly observed this trend, and with the same expectations and enthusiasm, we jointly launched ABGA. As a powerful alliance in Asia, we want to take advantage of Asia's natural advantage in the game industry. We will work together for a win-win situation to make ABGA the most influential game, NFT, Metaverse track platform in Asia. And we look forward to the future that we will have a place in the world. Thank you very much to the members of ABGA for co-sponsoring the establishment of ABGA. And also very much thank you everyone for participating in our kickoff ceremony. Many of our members cannot be here to celebrate with us because they are not in Singapore. However, ABGA will hold more online and offline events in the future. At the same time, we will still have many opportunities to meet each other. First of all, we will invite the ABGA chairman elected by members, YGG Singapore Director, Roland Ong, to give us a speech. Welcome, Roland.
Thank you very much, and very good afternoon to all of you. Good afternoon, all of you. Thank you. We should wake up. Right. I think, first and foremost, I'm most honored to have been voted as chairman. And I was thinking about it. I think I got voted as chairman because I'm the youngest guy in the whole group. I look among all my founding members, from YGG, to Huobi, Polygon, I am definitely the youngest guy in the group. Okay, I think, back to the topic, right? I think the founding of ABGA is new, so I thought this title, New Frontier, it's really quite appropriate. The question is it a new hype, or is it something here to stay? For some of us who like statistics, I think most of us know it. That's why we are here. All right. I'm just going to point out a few small points inside these few statistics, but let's see. When I first got into blockchain before the NFT game, I did a project with Unity to try to see if we could put a blockchain coin as a payment system for all Unity-made games. That was way back, right, around 2015, 2016. In just that short 5 years, the big number of people having a Bitcoin wallet has grown by 2,000%. Right? I think that's incredible. That's really incredible. Not so many growth, right? But I think that's not just a hype because it is a sustained growth. It's still growing. The other very interesting number is about the NFT games and the kind of revenue and attention it is getting. Then we are no longer talking about decades again. We are just talking about a few short years. right? So the growth in just these few months from quarter two, right, we are looking at over 700% growth. Right? Now, what's interesting here is if we take this number of phenomenal growth that you keep reading about, in big revenue growth, more and more people installing wallets, but if we really look at it, it's actually quite a drop in the ocean. All right. Total NFT gamers compared with, as at now, all of the gamers across various PC platform, online platform, mobile games, we are looking at just 1.2%. And among all the wallets, if I just take the wallets, e-wallet for Alibaba and Amazon, is over 1.1 billion. Right? And again, this is quite a drop in the ocean. Now, there are two ways to look at it. It's definitely blue ocean. Right? I think that's why we are here. I believe that because there is so many e-gamers, there are so many gamers, the possibility of NFT games growing and continue its growth exponentially is there. Now, the other interesting number is about what to focus on. Right? Do we focus on what the current media is telling us? Huge growth, right? We have billions of dollars in this space, and there are 2 million NFT gamers for Axie Infinity alone. They're breaking in billions. Now, I think at ABGA, we want to look at it slightly differently. We want to look at it that why don't we also look at the 99% of gamers out there, and let's focus on how and be there when more and more of these 99%, a vast number of gamers move from the traditional game world into the NFT game world. Right? I think that is something interesting, and that's something that ABGA we would like to encourage all our members and future members to move into. So definitely, let me move the slide. Now, of course, with opportunities, there are also challenges. I think there are many of us that knows that the first group of NFT gamers tend to be people purely looking at playing the game just to make money. Whether the game is good to play or whether the game is too repetitive, too much grinding, the words that we use from the game industry, that in the past did not seem important. However, because more and more money is being poured into new NFT games, and more gamers from the traditional gaming worlds are coming into the world of NFT games, the challenge is definitely for developers, game developers, to become more sophisticated and become more capable in a game design, right? And on top of that, learn the complexity of blockchain programming, learn the complexity of decentralized finance, and so on. So I think that these are definitely challenges that will face new developers coming in and pitching to, most of you are also from the investment industry, to the new in this space. So I think there is a lot of things for us to unravel and a lot of areas that we can learn from each other. Which comes to the key reason why we have set up ABGA. I think the key reasons that we are setting up ABGA is to help investors unravel or to become a good ecosystem, to set up an ecosystem that can bring gamers, developers, and investors together. I think we all heard about the Squid Game and the controversies around it, NFT games that are all scam. So I think definitely that's not the kind of developers we are, right? We are not scammers at all, okay? And we have heard of investors that pump and dump. Oh, definitely we are not the kind of investor at all too, right? So I think basically is to say that perhaps there needs to be more responsibility, both from the game developers' viewpoint and from the investors' area. So I think ABGA hopes to be the bridge. ABGA hopes to be the ecosystem that can bring good game developers to responsible investors, right? And I think that a few keywords that I've learned over the years. Oh, by the way, I'm the youngest is because my daughter, the other day when I was preparing the speech, she was asking, hey, Daddy, you are 100 years old. How come you say you are the youngest guy? So I told her, actually, because I'm still 16 years old. 40 years ago, when I was 16 years old, I started to go into the game industry. I bought my first Apple computer that wasn't called Apple. It was called Orange or Pineapple at that time. It's made by Creative. It was the first pirated Apple. So anyway, I have been in the game industry since. I'm the first one. I'm a guy that refused to work. Right? I refuse to work. So for 40 years, I've not left the game industry. I've decided to make entertainment also make money. So I think in that sense, I can be quite a good NFT gamer. It's just I'm too old to learn to play the game. However, still never too old. So I realized one thing over the 40 years of being in the game industry. The game industry has not changed. Trust me on this one. For 40 years, it has not changed. For 40 years, the three key words of the game industry is right here at the bottom. First word, gamer acquisition. No matter what you do, all right, this is the most important. If you develop a good game, the game is good only if you can bring gamers to your game. Right? That it has not changed over the years. The second thing is you need money, all right, because game development takes time. Game development takes months or years, and you need lots of good people, more and more so. In the past, you can have games that's created by one developer. I don't think that's possible today. Because the technologies, the different technologies, the different area of game designs going in, it has become too complex. So I think definitely you need money, and that has not changed for 40 years. And finally, community. That has also not changed for 40 years. So with these three fundamental, we have make it the core areas that ABGA would like to help nurture the ecosystem. We would like to help new budding game studios to think about and acquire skills in gamer acquisition, and also to see if we can match them up with good investors. And for good investors, as more investors are coming in, some of them may not be as savvy to be able to reach the right studios or to evaluate the right studios. We also hope to serve to bridge the gap. And definitely to help bring in some of the main communities makers, not just YGG, all right, I'm not biased here, but across many different communities and different guilds, we hope to be able to make some of these matchmaking as well for the new budding developers and also the game investors. Okay, I think that's the end of my slide. Thank you very much, and I'm going to pass the time back to ABGA. Thank you.
Thank you, Roland, for your excellent speech. It's very impressive. We are delighted to have Roland join us. During the preliminary preparation for ABGA, Roland provided a lot of help and guidance. He has also deeply involved in the game industry for many years and has rich contacts and industry experience. I believe ABGA will develop better in the future with all your support. Next, come to our roundtable discussion session. The subject is new breakthrough dimensions for blockchain gaming in the current metaverse order. Our moderator is the Executive Vice President, one of the early initiators of ABGA, the founder of Chain Capital, Simon Lee. Our speakers are Joshua from YGG, which is the advisor of YGG, and Prakash, the CEO of Engine Starter, Lawrence, the DeFi and GameFi Director of Razer, Nicholas, the Managing Director from Cool Capital. Let's discuss the development and the future of GameFi together. Looking forward to your insights. Welcome.
Sorry, is it mask on or mask off?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Simon Lee from China Capital.
Oh, take out.
So, shall we?
Sorry, go ahead. Let's go, I guess.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Simon Lee from China Capital and also founding a member of the ABGA. And let me simply introduce myself first. I started in crypto since 2015, and I have already invested more than 200 blockchain projects. And we focus on invest Web3 and GameFi and DeFi and so on. So it's an honor to hold this roundtable, and the guests are all the experts on the GameFi gaming area. So please give us simple self-introduce first. Maybe start from Joshua.
Sure. Thanks very much for having me here. This is the first time I'm doing public speaking in like 2 years, which is interesting. And I've also been outside of Singapore for almost 2 years because of lockdown, so it's nice to see some familiar faces in the room. Good to be here. As for background, long story short, I'm one of the co-founders at QCP Capital, but I'm also an advisor to YGG. Spend a lot of time helping them build out their new sub-DAOs in various markets, Southeast Asia in particular. And I think it's a super exciting side of the business. In a past life, I was a lawyer, and before that, I was also at a couple of mobility companies, Uber, Gojek, and there's a lot of similarities between mobility and that business and the guild business, actually, which is kind of what drew me to it. So I'm very excited to share, what we've learned so far and what the team is building, and happy to talk with people after the Q&A later as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. My name is Prakash. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Engine Starter. We're a Singapore-based company. We're a launchpad that's focused on blockchain gaming and metaverses. We started the company in April last year. We did our IDO in early October. And since then, we've helped launch 30-odd companies. We invest in them, and we are a partner in their success. We accelerate them, introduce them to investors, introduce them to guilds. It's an extremely exciting space. If you look at the statistics of blockchain gaming compared to traditional gaming, we are in very, very early days, and that's what keeps us excited. And we work 24/7, 7 days a week. Over to you, Lawrence.
Hi, thank you. So thank you for inviting me. So I'm Lawrence, the crypto lead at Razer. So what are we doing at Razer is basically for crypto, I will keep it confidential, but we are very interested in the play to earn space. We are very interested in the GameFi. And because Razer has a B2B payment also, we are also doing DeFi. So essentially, I'm doing everything for crypto matters at Razer. Before I was at Razer, I was full-time in the crypto industry since 2017. So I was a business operation head at a Tier 1 exchange. And then I went out to be COO and co-founder of a Southeast Asia licensed exchange. Went out from there to be CEO of Moonscape, all-time high at 1.7 billion assets, and was acquired by a public listed company in Singapore in April last year. So glad to be here. Right.
Hi everyone, it's good to be here with everyone. I come more from a traditional, let's call it VC, PE space, and I invested in a few tech companies. In the last maybe 2 years, we've put about more than 100 million to work in some of these more traditional investments. But myself, I spent quite a bit of time, more than 10 years in gaming and esports. So we invested in one of the top studios in the region. Some of you might know Mighty Bear Games, working closely with Apple and Disney. And also just on the esports side, we've organized 3 World Championships last year. So I'm quite new to the GameFi crypto space, but we hope to put a few bucks to work in this space this year with the support of some of our investors and friends, and just very glad to be here with everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your introduction. And as our President Lauren last speech said, the GameFi is very popular last year, such as Azure Infinity, Starters, and I want to know why. what's the reason behind it? So, Joshua, what's your opinion? Yeah.
Well, I think those of us who have been in the space long enough, you've always talked about the holy grail of adoption and bringing more and more people into the space. And I'm sure you've heard this phrase repeated many times, but gaming kind of presents a Trojan horse for entry, bringing a very large cohort in a very efficient way into the space. So you have a lot of people who, take Philippines, for example, where there are now more MetaMask wallets than there are credit cards. See this overnight change of pace in terms of adoption. And gaming has a certain amount of stickiness to it that allows it to convey the potential of blockchain technology much more efficiently to new entrants than trying to explain what Bitcoin is to someone. Quite often people just turn off very quickly when you're explaining. I'm sure you've been through that before. So it's been really impressive to see how guilds and blockchain games have found a way to create those token economies and incentives to create a really sticky environment for people to actually then have more and more of their net worth built up inside of the GameFi ecosystem. And I think the second piece to that is also just the fact that there's a whole group of people that have been struggling through the pandemic. A lot of low-income tiers who, timing-wise, it couldn't be worse in terms of being locked down, losing their livelihoods, not knowing where to turn for how to spend their time to actually make a meaningful living wage. And that's a lot of what Play to Earn represents. And I know that's a very simple way of breaking down what it is to people, but net, at the end of the day, if someone's grinding away at a game and trying to make a living, that's what it is to them, right? As opposed to what I'm familiar with being so many years at QCP and crypto, most of our business is B2B. I'm usually helping rich people get richer. That's just a fact. But in reality, there's a whole cohort of people who never had access to these opportunities, and I really like the fact that GameFi is giving that to them.
Thank you. What about you?
Yeah, so I think,
Prakash?
from what Josh has shared, the other key thing that's forming is the communities, right? And, in any large movement in tech, you need communities to drive that. And I think for us, from an investment perspective, you tend to follow where energy is going, right? And energy can come in the form of capital, the energy can come in the form of talent, and we're starting to see a lot of that coming into the space. And it's very, very similar to how we saw things during the early non-crypto tech movements, where you see a lot of people leaving, their real-world economies to come and hang out with all the, tech startup guys. And I think that's one key thing that's interesting about GameFi. The use case, the application is going to be very, very quick. In the early days of the IDO, a lot of people had good intentions in trying to build a lot of projects. But, it took a long time for them to go from building infrastructure to allowing communities to come and experience. Whereas now with games, the community can actually experience something a lot quicker and faster. And the real world utility for the token is there. They can stake it, they can buy NFTs. And I think, the other big thing that is working in our favor is the NFT boom that we saw last year. And this year we're going to start seeing a lot more DAOs coming into play, and the space is just going to get a lot more exciting.
Right. So what I'm going to say is going to resonate a bit with what Joshua and Prakash say. So for me, it's very interesting. Like every year, there's this industrial trend where every year we guess what's the next big thing. Reason being, Core 17 to Core 18 was ICO, Core 18 to Core 19 was IDO, Core 19 to 2020 is DeFi, then last year was NFT Metaverse. So we realized that even though we call it crypto industry, but we are pivoting like 360 every year. The main reason for that is once you hit an all-time high, you become like a agate, you want to find the other high. And that is one of the reasons why we've been pivoting. And that is exactly what Joshua mentioned is the rich actually get much richer in this industry, unfortunately to say. I'm actually quite happy for it as well. But the consoling part is, and what I feel is very exciting being this industry during the winter and during the bull run is that we're actually way much closer to mass adoption on a yearly basis. So ICO, IGO, a lot of people got scammed, a lot of people lose money. GameFi could only be used by crypto natives. Who in the normal world will use lending liquidity? No one. But when it comes to NFT, it means that everyone can be a creator, everyone can own their own IP, everyone can buy something that you want to support the artist in. Now, come to GameFi. It's really, I feel that GameFi will be where the mass adoption comes in because it just makes sense. Everyone plays games. Now I'm telling you, you play a game and you earn money. Oh my gosh. So I'm still very excited and I look forward to seeing what will happen this year and the years moving forward.
Yeah, I think, with the pandemic, everything online, digital, everything saw a boom, right? Everyone's staying at home. I think, especially for, we talked about in Philippines, games like XC or YGG, we saw a lot of households that they had the sole breadwinners lost their income, and I think there will be thousands, if not tens of thousands of families whose sole income comes from playing a game. So I think we see the whole, not just the confluence of finance and gaming, right? It's just a lot more emphasis on how to provide for gamers and households and all that. Coming from my perspective, having been in gaming esports for a while, actually gamers have been making money off their games for the longest time, right? Be it in esports, where the economics is skewed towards if you're like the top few percent, or to just folks, like Roland was on stage just now, he launched World of Warcraft, millions of people were making money playing those games and all that. But now there's a lot more emphasis and focus on that making income, making sure that economics is more fair, well distributed. There are a lot more folks who are educated on how to do that. So it's all in all a very exciting space.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Yeah, so I know the GameFi projects, they could do the ideal IO to raise money, and maybe they use the technology by blockchain, and they maybe have token. But I want to know, in the play game, what's the difference with the GameFi and the traditional game? Maybe this round start from Nicholas.
Sure. Maybe I'll just, there's many things, right? So we talk about fun versus work and all that. But maybe from an investor's perspective, one is that having invested in traditional game companies and studios, the investment cycle seems to be quite different, right? To see a payback of a studio, especially if a studio is making AAA game titles, you're talking about years, if not like decades, to see the kind of returns. And I think right now, with the emphasis on the economics and all that, the return cycle seems to be quite shorter and quite dynamic, and I'm sure the rest have a lot more to add.
Right. So the obvious difference is traditional games is you pay to play, and then now you can play to earn. For Razer's position and my mandate is to set the foundation so that Razer will become the leader in this new wave and new era. The reason for that is in the traditional games space, we are strong, but we are just a partner to the game companies. What we hope to do in this new space in GameFi and pay to earn is to be a leader and help to push the boundaries and help to get mass adoption.
I think one thing that I see in GameFi and blockchain gaming compared to traditional gaming is the same value proposition that crypto gave all of us in the early days, where anyone is actually that the opportunity to make money is available to everyone, whether you want to invest your time, your resources, your talent into that space and take back the value is, I feel it's a lot quicker and faster. Especially with the advent of play to earn. And again, it's a very neutral platform, right? You can be a villager in any developing country for that matter, or you can be a computer programmer working in the most metropolitan city. You will still spend 2 to 3 hours a day playing a game. And I feel that GameFi is that equalizer that humanity is looking for today. And I think that's the main value and difference that I see.
Yeah, I think we're still at a really, really early stage of, can I even call it an industry in terms of development? It's very hard to say what this is going to look like, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months from now. I think, as my panelists have very correctly pointed out, all of this is, we're not reinventing the wheel here. Gaming hasn't changed for a long time. A lot of the dynamics, the hit cycles, the game loops are the same. The biggest difference here is that there's a level of openness that didn't exist before. And this is to, obviously put in perspective the people who are actually making the most from play-to-earn gaming, which is the players themselves, the guys who are able to make a meaningful wage and a minimum wage in many of these markets. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that people below the poverty line are very bad at math, when in reality it's quite the opposite. There's a very efficient mental calculus that poor people have to do in order to survive. I'm obviously being a little bit extreme in my example here, but in many cases, you have to think about how you spend your time. So this is the first time, as Parag said, that you can actually spend your time wisely, do a very efficient calculus, and figure out how much you can earn by spending your time playing this game. Whereas previously, playing World of Warcraft, trading skins, any of the other titles before, there was only dodgy secondary markets in order to make returns. So the big difference here, obviously, is the openness, the fact that we do have the blockchain tech in place, exchanges where you can trade the value you earn in return for your time in the game. And I think that's going to make a very big difference to the rate at which we see hit cycles in the industry, games coming and going, and players moving and spending their time between them. So yeah, that's probably the biggest difference for me.
Okay, thank you for sharing. And as Joshua said, the blockchain game is in early stage. So, but all your guys is the leader of the blockchain game, and I want to know if you want to promote the development of GameFi, what angles should you start from? Maybe start from Joshua.
Funnily enough, when you think about supply and demand in this market, there's a heck of a lot more demand than there is supply. We're not having any trouble. I don't think any guild has any trouble recruiting people who want to earn a decent living wage through playing a game 6 to 8 hours a day. I think what's being optimized right now in terms of targeting is, right now we're at the horse and buggy stage. Axie Infinity is tremendous what they've pulled off. Now building in the land economy and more incentives over time, and governance is making it more interesting. But that's just one version of one game that maybe appeals to one cohort. And there's going to be a lot more different tastes, from casual gamers, from guys who like, games that exist in space, or racing, or MOBAs, or brawlers. That's going to, I think, split up and fragment the interest levels and ecosystems that exist in different games that come out, as well as within different blockchain ecosystems. So I'm very bullish on seeing how newer ecosystems that are just seeing the first play-to-earn games come out, like in BSC, how they actually attack the acquisition piece, because they have so many captive wallets in their space, but not enough titles to go around. So I don't think there's like a one-size-fits-all strategy for attracting talent. I think it's quite the opposite. It's the guys who are onboarding people to games having trouble actually dealing with the number of people coming in right now. Yeah.
So I see a two-prong. So one, I think one of the key things that COVID has taught the entire world is that we can't rely on one source of income. And I think crypto offers that, right? It can be seen as an investment portfolio, or it can be seen as something that you're converting, something you enjoy. And more importantly, if you're coming in to have fun, at the same time to also make money out of it, I think GameFi is going to offer that. And I think, we are all in this large social experiment, right? We have no idea how far this NFT space is going to move. But as we see, more effort going into the space, we know it's going to lead us somewhere. And that was the same spirit that we had in the early days of crypto. And again, coming back to the early days of crypto, I think the key thing is communities. And I think that's one big thing what ABGA is offering, where communities like this come together. We collectively look at ways to support each other, collectively look at ways to protect each other. Because there will always be bad actors. And more importantly, to kind of share opportunities together is what I feel this space is going to offer. And yeah, I think that's what's keeping us all excited.
Right, so Razer is a lifestyle brand for gamers, so definitely we have an ecosystem, and we'll help any good companies who come to the ecosystem or expand worldwide. But the GameFi itself is still in a very early stage. There is so much opportunities and challenges. Fun, as if I have a good friend of mine who say like, even if it's just a red button, he will just continue to click on it, just to earn the tokens. So the fun is just not as fun as traditional games at this point of time. The other challenge is the tokenomics or the gamenomics, which I feel that the current crypto space is actually not suitable for GameFi. I don't feel listing or exchanges is the best way for the game, because when you have tokenomics and gamenomics, actually you are a combination of shares and currency. And the traditional secondary market of an exchange is not conducive for a economy system. So I do feel there's a need for a new secondary market that is actually gamers are familiar with, because they do have in-game items, they do have in-game credits. And so I see a lot of opportunity in exchange space, in blockchain space, in financial analysts who need to map out your tokenomics and gamenomics, because you have community, but how long will you play? The normal lifespan of a game is 3 to 6 months. Then what happens after that? It dies off. How do you continue to renew it? And that's why like traditional games like Call of Duty, every year they release new versions or expansions. And the other thing is the type of users you want. So there's many different genres of games. You have the very difficult games like Genso, which I feel is so relevant to NFT, because if they had like tokens and then you play like 72 hours and finally get rewarded, I think is huge. Or are you going to go casual and you can play on the mobile and you earn tokens on it, and that will impact your tokenomics and gamenomics. So it's a huge ecosystem. Whenever you're building a game, it's not just about technology. It's actually about your users, your user experience, and you're actually building up metaverse. So it's actually about your gamenomics and tokenomics. So it's actually a very complex system. It's actually even more complex compared to crypto, DeFi. And I think a lot of projects currently are not aware of how complex it is. And I hope that will iron out in the near times to come.
Perhaps adding on to Lawrence's earlier point, he's went a bit into the depths, the weeds of it. When I think about promoting and all that, I think about sustainability, right? How do you, the world is has a lot of people with short-term thinking. If you're running a public company, you have to run really fast because you do quarterly reporting. And like Prakash mentioned that there are some bad players sometimes. How do you build this in a sustainable way, right? And it can touch many aspects, from the economics or the tokenomics of it, for the gamers or the players, down to the ecosystem, right? Not just within the game, but between from one game to the other game. How do you form a trusted ecosystem or an open ecosystem that has a certain level of trust? And I personally think that ABGA has a huge opportunity to play a big role here. And perhaps the last thing, we haven't seen much policy or regulatory participation in this space yet. I believe it will come. And when in fact, we've seen a bit of that I think in markets like Philippines, right? So now when you play XC, you get taxed and all that. And I think as we think about this from a sustainability angle, then how do you build the business, build the ecosystem, the games such that it will survive and withstand any sorts of regulatory evolution or policies coming in.
Okay, thank you. For your guys' help, I think the blockchain gaming will develop better and better. So my last question is, looking forward to the GameFi market in the next 3 to 5 years, what are the possible development paths? Maybe it's from Nicholas. Yeah.
I think I'll echo what Josh said earlier, right? Who knows what's going to happen in the sense. But if I think, obviously, with all that energy and participation, the funds and investments entering the space, 2 things come to mind. One is maturity, right? There'll be more and more maturity. And it's not just the gameplays will evolve, it will mature. I see more game genres coming in, right? Maybe some more more family-oriented, more educational segments will come in, for example, right? I see we're seeing some projects in that space. And perhaps the second thing would be the quality of not just of the games, of the play, but the quality of the, we use the word scholars, right, in the space, and I've been hearing about some complaints about some scholars who do not act like scholars, right? And perhaps even the quality of the gamers, the quality of the scholars would improve, yeah.
Right. So I hope we hit like Ready Player One if you watch a movie where you get immersed in multiple worlds. I'm not sure if you guys follow Elon Musk. So Elon Musk is saying that the first spaceship to hit Mars will be in 2024, so 4 years. So I'm just wondering, will we go Mars first, or will we upload our own identity into a virtual world? To be frank, from a technology point of view, uploading ourselves onto a virtual world is much easier compared to going to Mars. So, you never know.
I think, what we saw at the end of last year with a lot of large companies like Facebook, Nike, getting into the metaverse, I think that's really exciting. Locally, we have Hatton, which is a LISCO that's looking into the space extremely passionately. And I think once you start seeing the energy of the large corporates coming in and the energy of the decentralized world, moving as quickly as we can, the next 5 years is going to be extremely exciting. We've definitely crossed the tipping point, but how fast we go, I'll let Josh decide that.
I mean, 3 to 6 years is pretty far out, but I can imagine a couple things happening. I think most of us right now have a pretty feeble understanding of what the metaverse is, and that's, on purpose. Most of us don't know what's going to happen. But there's a very vanilla version of this out there, which is, yes, you put on your VR goggles, you interact, you spend time in a digital space. But I think there's wider sort of socio-economic impacts, and it's the fact that this is not going to benefit everyone equally, and rightly so. I think this is a very much wealth transfer phase where, if you think about what China's been to the rest of the world, the manufacturing floor of the world for the last 20, 30 years, that's simply because of labor costs. And if the lowest cost of labor in the metaverse is going to come from places like Southeast Asia, Latin America, South Asia, Eastern Europe, those are the places that are going to have an enormous wealth transfer happening and a knowledge transfer as well. So I think what we'll see in the first 3 to 6 year phase is markets like that leaning into the play to earn and GameFi movement a lot more than other places where the minimum wages are a lot higher. And probably the second thing is we'll see different tiers of gamers and interests emerge, meaning think, if you're just a play to earn gamer and the only version you can imagine right now is Axie Infinity, a card turn-based game. What happens when upskilling happens in the metaverse? What does a high-skilled worker in the metaverse look like? How do you crew a shuttle? Like, how do you be an engineer in a game or something? What if it's like, even when you look at games today, like even in StarCraft, people think in APM, actions per minute. But what happens when people are spending more and more time in the metaverse and they want to do different things? And there may be different payment schedules, there may be different pay grades within the metaverse as well. Who knows, right? So I think we'll probably see some separation of skill sets and different geographic focus areas for play to earn over time.
Yeah, we don't know what will happen. Nobody will know what will happen in the future, but I believe the future is coming. We should join it. So we have come to the Q&A session, and do the audience have any question to ask the guests? Please hands up. Any questions? It's a good opportunity. Oh, okay.
I think I'll just take my mask off for a second. Thank you so much, everyone, for such exciting panel discussion. I think just a quick question. So I'm Soo Young from Morgan Stanley, and obviously I think the metaverse space has been gaining a lot of interest, even just in the equity level. Like, we're still in the TradFi, but again, people are looking at it. So one question that a lot of people are asking, obviously the space is very early stage, and we are talking about there's a lot of the startups that are coming up, but also, a lot of the big gaming companies in the world, especially in Korea, like Naver or NCSoft, they have been doing a lot in NFT space as well. So going forward, do we see the consolidation happening, like as in, more acquisition from the big player, taking these, startup in, maybe just acquire them as one of their, NFT, I don't know how to frame it, but I guess one of their games or one of their enabler. Would that be the trend, or do you think some of these actual GameFi company will be the next unicorn and will be the one that dominate the whole space? Yeah, thank you.
I'll take a stab at it first. So thank you for that question. I feel that question could perhaps be better directed to Roland from the big game companies. Not putting him on the spot there. But my experience of some of these tech giants, if you say, entering the space is that they're not always embraced with two open arms in a sense. And I think inherently because they bring with them certain mindset, certain structures that may not work well for the space. Maybe Razer, I think perhaps one of the exceptions, right? Still a startup, right? in that sense. And so I think we're going to see, it's still early, we're going to see a lot of excitement, perhaps a lot of churn in that sense. And to your point, absolutely that could be at some point some consolidation, and it'll be interesting to see how that looks like. Maybe from, I don't know, Prakash is also very experienced.
I think we saw Nike acquiring this studio called how do I say RTFK. RT, and they are one of the hipsters. They were really leading the NFT space. But when energy like that happens in the space, you're going to start seeing cycles. People will exit, and they will actually have more funds to actually come into the space. For me, I see it as a positive light. There's more money that's coming into the space. People will start taking the space a lot more seriously. But definitely we are in an arms race, right? The rich billionaires, they're racing to Mars and literally to that space. But I think for the rest of us, we're racing into the metaverse. The more partnerships that we get, the more acquisitions that actually happen in the space, we'll actually start seeing a lot more infrastructure being built. And I choose to see it positively. By having grown up in Web 1.0 as well as in Web 2.0, Web 3.0 is about shared ownership, and we all need to now feel that part because all of us helped build Facebook, but the day that he got listed, he sent all of us a video with a balloon to say thank you, and he didn't give us any of his shares, right? But now we all can. We can buy an NFT, it can be worth $10, but someday it can be worth a lot more. And that opportunity is made available to all of us, and we should make good use of that.
I think your question raises two different issues. Technically, when you talk about consolidation, if a lot of games these days are actually structured as DAOs, meaning that there's a governance token, an in-game token, and the players themselves are both owners, operators within the ecosystem. And this question has been asked before in crypto, actually many times before in the layer 1 wars, which is still going on. Like, what happens when what's a hostile takeover look like? How does one network take over another? Is it even possible? What would it literally look like? In the DAO instance, it's quite interesting. Like, how would a majority voting block of a very popular game DAO potentially take over another one? And what would need to happen for that to take place? Interesting question. I don't know. It hasn't happened yet. And then secondly, I think the more important thing is, what do the gamers and players and actors in the ecosystem get out of this? And I think the most important thing for the play to earn piece, that's the part where YGG spends its most time on, is what do gamers, between hit cycles and moving from one game to the next, what do they take with them? In reality, all of this technology is about the lowest cost of customer acquisition. Look at e-commerce, mobility, all of it is customer acquisition, so you can offer them products on top of that. Have a captive audience for wage access. In this case, if the gamers are both owners and operators and they're DAO token holders, what can they take away from the time they put into the game that's of value to them in the real world where it matters the most to them? Be it a credit score, right? If you look at most super app companies, they're trying to help you build credit scores through the activities and the time you spend in their app. If it's bill pay, if it's loans, mortgages, pawn shop, that sort of thing, those services within it, can you take that with you, your activity from one game to the next? I think the guilds kind of function as a market maker layer in between to help them bring those attributes with them from game to game. And games traditionally, if you think about it, not many have like a 20, 30 year life cycle. It's hit driven, it's very, very cyclical. And people will move naturally from one theme to the next as things change over time. I find it quite unlikely that you'll see like major game consolidation between DAOs. It's tricky.
Sure, I'm quite reluctant to answer this question. So the short answer is yes. There will be acquisitions. The long answer is actually very complex. First is, let's say for Razer, the brand main gate is lifestyle brand for gamers. So we cannot break that promise or screw it up in any way. And because Razer is a big company, when we acquire companies, there's a lot of marrying, both from the due diligence to the finance to the people. And it's always the people layer is always the hardest. So MMA is always not straightforward. The other challenge is, as what Joshua mentioned, is if you are crypto native, you believe in DeFi and decentralized, which is why when I say I joined Razer, some of my crypto natives people are like, bro, what's going on, man? You went evil. But I think the approach would be CFI or CDeFi, which CZ has promoted. I think Razer's position will be trying to help as many partners as possible to expand the ecosystem and to have mass adoption. I don't think we can own everything because the marrying part is actually very hard. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your excellent answer. And my last question is, if you use one sentence, please summary of this roundtable discussions. Maybe start from Joshua. Yeah.
I think we've got a lot of talent on stage and probably some opposing viewpoints, but that's the beauty of it. The blockchain gaming space is growing at a phenomenal pace, and I'm just really happy to be on stage with people who know what they're doing.
Prakash.
I would say it's early days. Let's work together to achieve it together.
Right, it's the new year, and then it's the first round table for me. So happy to finally speak face to face with people and hope. So my summary is I hope this year will not be same but different, but different, and everyone earns. Yeah.
I think it's a dynamic and maturing space, and then maybe perhaps I can add that ABGA has the opportunity to play an important role to build a trusted and sustainable ecosystem.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas. Because of the time limited, we can't talk more, but maybe we could continue to discuss after the meeting. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the wonderful discussion of the speakers. Next, I will invite ABGA Executive President and our early initiator, Kevin Shaw, to give a speech. Welcome, Kevin.
Hello, everyone. Dear ABGA members and our friends. Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining us today here to celebrate the foundation of the Asia Blockchain Gaming Alliance. Before we start, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm Kevin Shaw, the founder of Bitrise Capital, and the executive president of Asia Blockchain Gaming Alliance. And today I'm incredibly honored and pleased to welcome you and give you a short speech about the development of the blockchain gaming industry and how we start the idea of establish the ABGA and ABGA position in the promising industry. First, let's look back on the development of the blockchain gaming industry. In 2017, the first blockchain game, CryptoKitties, was born as a successful combination of game and blockchain technology. CryptoKitties has left a significant mark in the history of the crypto market. It enhances people's imagination about crypto and makes it go mainstream. In the following 1 or 2 years, the crypto market experienced an explosion of blockchain gaming projects. Some of them did gain wide attention from the market and got great results. However, due to the infrastructure imperfection of the blockchain industry, such as scaling problem, the expensive gas fees, and the people's inadequate cognition about blockchain games, 2018 is not the right time for the industry to develop further. I would say that most blockchain gaming projects released in 2017 and 2018 were a flash in the pan. Time flies to 2021, and we've got many impressive improvements in the crypto market. To deal with the scaling problem, we have Huobi Echo Chain, Binance Smart Chain, Solana, Flow, Wax, and other public chain. We have Polygon, Arbitrum, Immutable X, and so on as the layer 2 solution. Those high efficient and low cost public chains and the layer 2 solution provide a solid foundation for developing the blockchain gaming industry in 2021. Moreover, in the past 2 years, COVID-19 brought us a lot of pain and suffering moments, but it also brought us great opportunities. The COVID-19 lockdowns raised people's attention and participation in the crypto and gaming markets. In 2021, the gaming market valuation reached to 194 billion. The total cryptocurrency market cap increased more than 3 times from about 0.76 trillion to 2.3 trillion. NFT is selected as the word of the year by Calling Dictionary. The blockchain infrastructure and the people connection are well prepared for the prosperity of the blockchain gaming industry in 2021 and 2022 as well. Just as we saw, the blockchain gaming industry did have an excellent performance in 2021. And we've seen so many successful blockchain gaming projects come on the stage during this year. We have successful blockchain gamings like Axie Infinite, Mobox, My Neighbor Alice, and so on. We also have successful blockchain gaming guilds, YGG, and other guilds. But the development of the blockchain gaming industry is still a very early stage. At the end of last year, there were more than 442,000 games on Google Play Store, about 984,000 games on iOS platform. As I mentioned before, the gaming market's value at $194 billion. However, there are only 221 NFT games listed on CoinMarketCap. So it's not so many games right now. And the NFT market is only valued at $11 billion, so it's a very small amount. For NFT games, the valuation is much lower. The gap between traditional gaming markets and the blockchain gaming market is a challenge and also an opportunity for every one of us. And that's why we established the Asia Blockchain Gaming Alliance and stand here to celebrate ABGA's foundation. In the middle of 2021, we noticed that the new trend in the crypto market transformed to blockchain games. And the blockchain games can be the best gate for the public to enter into the world of the crypto. Thousands of blockchain gaming projects showed up in the market at that time, and it's not easy for VCs, exchanges, and even the market to select high potential ones to connect, invest, and promote. At the same time, many gaming studios from traditional gaming markets enter the crypto market. They can make great games and bring more value to the blockchain gaming industry. Still, it is hard for them to survive in the new area due to the lack of crypto knowledge. Moreover, the industry needs some so-called standards, professional sorts, and guidance to lead it in right directions. Therefore, we plan to build Asia Blockchain Gaming Alliance in the latter half of the year, inviting our precious friends and partners to join, and finally establish the alliance at the end of November. With all of your support, the Asia Blockchain Gaming Alliance must become the blockchain gaming industry promoter, advisor, and pioneer. For leading groups and investment institutions, ABGA is an investment hub that offers plenty of opportunities. Through the platform, institutions can gather industry information, screen and filter top teams and companies, broaden investment horizons, and promote the development of the blockchain gaming industry. ABGA also serves as the resources integration platform that helps promote business cooperation, information exchange, and brand exposure. For startups teams, ABGA serves as an incubator and accelerator with the connection to the vast metro blockchain gaming institution in the alliance, covering both upstream and downstream. New startups can get high-quality funding, guidance, and exposure in the industry. As we stated in the Constitution, the vision of ABGA is to invest in building a blockchain gaming ecosystem and growing together with the industry. By integrating upstream and downstream forces of the industry, ABGA is dedicated to contributing our part in promoting the vigorous development and future prosperity of the global blockchain gaming industry. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Kevin for his speech. The beginning of ABGA came from a chat between Kevin Shao, Simon Lee, and Xiaoming. Later, like-minded people started and prepared with us. It takes only 3 to 4 months from an idea to the present. Our ABGA is also in early growth. In 2022, we also plan to hold 3 mega events in Singapore: a GameFi hackathon, a game competition for award-winning hackathon games, an annual awards ceremony at the end of the year. In addition, we will continue to hold various online and offline activities. The future of ABGA must be worth looking forward to. Next, I would like to invite all of us to complete a ceremonial action with us. Please take out the Huawei box in the bag and take out the Huawei watch, put it on your hand. Yeah, you can put it on first. wake up your screen. You can see the ABGA's logo is on the watch screen. So later we will play a video, and everyone, we could wait for the end of the video countdown. And you can raise your hand together with me, which symbolizes that we have witnessed the official establishment of ABGA. Thank you so much. I appreciate your cooperation. Due to the epidemic control in Singapore, when we have guests on the stage, the audience cannot communicate and dining. Therefore, we shorten the ceremony process. This event will end at 5:30. We still have around 1 hour that we could communicate with each other and have a drink. We prepare some simple refreshments. Everyone can speak freely now. Thank you.